Hi, I'm Dr. Mollie Marti with Resiliency Matters. Today, we are speaking with Tessy Antony de Nassau. Tessy is a philanthropist. She has her own charity. She is a humanitarian. She is an international businesswoman. She is a social entrepreneur. And I'm grateful to say she's one of our board members at our nonprofit, Worldmaker International. Welcome, Tessy.
Thank you so much, Molly. Thank you for the beautiful introduction.
Well, the introduction was short, and I want to bring it to life, but I was just looking again at some of your awards, and I just want to share with our viewers a few of those. You have received the Woman of the Decade Award from the Women Economic Forum. That was January 2017, the Humanities Medal for spreading humanistic ideas worldwide, the Global Empowerment Award for your work in Africa. You were named Leader of the Year 2019 by the Leadership Academy in Luxembourg. And you have an honorary doctorate from Paris for your work in global education. And even that's just scratching the surface. And knowing you personally, those awards are so well deserved. But I just wanted to flesh out your background a little bit. And let's just bring it to life today. So let's go back. You served for 5 years in the military. You were the only woman in your unit as a peacekeeper in Kosovo. Tell us about why or how you entered the military and what maybe some of the lessons that you bring forth from that time.
So, well, thank you so much again. So I entered the military when I was barely 18. So I was really young, and I entered because my father thought it was a really good idea to enter the military. My sister was already there, and my twin brother said, I want to go. So my father said, well, off you go, both of you. So I joined the military on National Day 2003 in Luxembourg. Obviously did my boot camp and everything you're doing, finished my boot camp, 4 months boot camp as the only woman. We started with 9 women and I was the only one surviving it. So I was really happy about that, but I didn't stop there. So I thought, what next? And obviously a mission, a peacekeeping mission in a foreign country was always on my bucket list. And I said, okay, I'm going to do that. What was interesting was that my path was stonier than I hoped it was. So after signing in to go to the peacekeeping mission and doing my training, they were not happy taking me at first, which was interesting because Luxembourgish military, we do not have many women. And it is always, there's always kind of like, we have still a very man-led society in Luxembourg, still today. And as such, as a woman in the military, it was really difficult for me. So for me to actually make it to Kosovo in the end was really was like a victory for me and for all the women, because they even threw out my brother out of the training and hoped that I would leave if I would not be deployed with my twin brother. But he said, no, you're going. And I kept going. And they said, well, we don't need your skill. And I made a truck license. I made a truck license so that they needed to take me. I just did everything I needed to do. And with 18 and a half, I was deployed to Kosovo as the only woman of my draft. And I was there for 5 months, first time away from my parents. So it was not on holiday, but it was literally straight up there. And it was really one of the most rewarding experiences. I must say that, yes, I do have experiences which were tough. So I saw some kids without their parents when we were doing searches in the mountains for weapons and other things. And we needed to leave them behind. That was really hard for me. And still until today, I'm working actually with organizations to make sure that things that I have seen will not happen again in the future. But also what I have seen is that the quality and the importance of having women peacekeepers. I think women in the military and women in the armed forces in general, also in the military, well, also in the police force and in any other armed forces are so needed because we bring something special to the table, which men cannot do. For Kosovo, for example, what I heard from the local woman there, as an example, was that they said, finally a woman searching me, a woman speaking to me, a woman telling me where I need to go, instead of a man, because a man raped me, a man hit me, a man threw me out of my house, men scare me. And it's just so nice, and I still get goosebumps thinking about specifically that woman. And it was just, it really gave me purpose, where I was like, it's so important to have women in the armed forces, also today. So I'm a big advocate for that. So I have learned that men and women complement each other beautifully, even in the most difficult situations and in the most difficult environments. And it is so important to give each and everyone their own merits. It's not to make it easier for women, absolutely not. I have done the same work, the same exercises, everything the same as men. And yes, it was tough, but it was also tough for my men colleagues. And so I think also what I learned is that one should not stereotype women as being so fragile, because we are not. And it was really beautiful because it paved the way that I was living until today. I met my ex-husband in the military, checking his eyes after my deployment. Because of him, I have two beautiful sons, now teenagers, and so on, so many other experiences. So definitely, these are my key takeaways that, I learned to learn about my passions. I learned about my weaknesses and my strength. I created bonds with human beings which are still long lasting today. And I really learned about the importance of the armed forces, the importance of working together for peace, and the importance of UN peacekeeping today, even though some might argue it's outdated, and I do agree with that. But that is also why I have joined UNA UK, for example, in the UK as patron, the highest position in the organization, to make UN peacekeeping relevant again today.
And your point about women is really a broader point about diversity of all types, diversity of thought. Talk about that, because you are a businesswoman. I mean, you do a lot within organizations. Just share your views on the importance of having that diversity for a vibrant or thriving organization.
Well, I think, a really good example. Let me give you that in my recent field then. So I'm doing my medical doctorate in integrative medicine. So it's all about alternative medicines. In some countries, it doesn't exist yet, but it's coming more and more. So I'm working on that. And as such, the example I want to give for we need more diversity in this field, it's in the field of STEM, for example, science, technology, engineering, and math, where we have the ibuprofen you take, for example, Molly, or the antibiotics. These are all medications which have been you are being dosed, so the dosage you get is fixed or often made on a middle class 50-year-old 65-kilogram weight white man. And so even my son, just not a long time ago, he needed to go to the doctor. He had a cough, not corona, but the doctor said, okay, my son couldn't come into the room with the doctor, so I did everything for my son. And the doctor said, how heavy is your son? I said, oh, kind of like this, and la la la. And he said, okay, this. And I said, wait. I said, wow, you could knock out an elephant with that. I said, my son is 12 and he is really skinny. He said, yes, but it's 12 plus. So this is the base, this is what it is said. So yes, you have for smaller kids, you have a bit more precise, but after 12 years old and so on, it's pretty standardized for some medication. And I think that is why we need more diversity in all sectors, because so for the medical sector, we women are not built like men. Our metabolisms are different. And so that's where we need the diversity there. In politics, women see the world differently than men. That's why we need them there. We need them in the military because women can do things differently than men as well. We complement each other. So diversity and inclusion are really key. And I think we are very lucky, Molly, in the world we are living in right now, because we have already come a long way to include more women into the diversity and inclusion schemes of many big corporates and many companies and government policies. So we are getting there, but we are still a long way to go. So we still need to all put our heads together to make it better every day.
Absolutely. And there, like I said, this is just part of the bigger conversation, right, of diversity of all types. I've heard you talk about your military experience, especially the boot camp, that they break you down so that you can build you up. And in many ways, we're doing a special edition of Resiliency Matters, Sheltering in Place. I'm here in Iowa. I believe you're in Switzerland yet? Yes, I guess you're in Switzerland. But a lot of people are being broken down and being tasked with building themselves back up. So whether we talk about people who recently have lost their jobs, people who, well, let's just take one at a time. So advice for, say, someone who's newly employed, unemployed, or has had that big shift in occupation, who's listening, what guidance can you give them on rebuilding?
I think it's a really difficult question because obviously I cannot put myself in another person's situation physically or even mentally. You know, we all have our own crosses to carry. You know, just because I'm sitting in a beautiful garden here, doesn't mean I don't have my own problems on my own. So just as a disclaimer, this is something I would do. And this is my advice I would give myself and my friends and my loved ones if they would be in situation, and some are in that situation. I do know that millions of Americans have lost their jobs. In Europe, we have the same. Corona, COVID-19 has really not been kind to a lot of people. And as such, I think what is really, really important is that there will always be negative situations coming up. And yes, definitely, when you lose your jobs, things that come into your mind are, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to survive with my children? How do I pay for the kids' school, depending on where you are, food on the table, medical health. In the US, medical health is not free. And a lot of people who have lost their jobs in the US have also lost their medical insurance, which is really, really, really horrible to say the word like that, because I lived in the US and I know how expensive it is to just have a blood test. And as such, you know, I could not imagine getting sick again in the US. And I really feel for each and every one of them who have lost their jobs and their medical insurance, because it's just, yeah, I cannot imagine, and I'm really sorry. How you deal then with it, what I would do and what I would tell my friends is that, you know, what are you good at? You have lost that job, it's true. But where there's a big disruption, such as the COVID-19, the corona crisis, as Schumpeter says, creative destruction. Where there's destruction, there's a lot of innovation. So what do you need? What do your neighbors need? How can you use your skills to build something new? You know, ask for help as well. A lot of people don't want to talk about when they are in crisis because they're ashamed, they're embarrassed. And yes, I do understand them, absolutely. You know, it's you don't want to be seen as weak. You don't want to be seen as bothering someone else, because obviously when a crisis is raging like the one we are going through, all of us in our own perspectives, you just don't know, oh, I don't want to bother that person now because that person has also her or his own cross, right? So I think it's just about, don't be scared to ask for help. And you know, a lot of people I have seen online have taken the crisis and put it on its head and create these new companies, new services, new online platforms, new even started writing books. All of these new domains or old domains are coming out again, you know, and mindfulness as well. I think one big thing is as well, when you're home, and yes, the situation you're in, I can't change it. And a lot of people who have lost their jobs, they don't even know how to change it themselves at first. You're kind of like a baby, newborn baby putting into a bath and putting on a towel. You just wriggling, you don't know what's happening to you, right? It's a shock. And I think as such, while you're going through shock as well, is really important to keep your mind sane. It's as they say, you know, put your mask on first when you're on a plane before helping anyone else. And that means as well, get yourself some oxygen, help to calm down and really clear your mind from all of this noise and scare and fear and anxiety, and really just come back down and see with a clear mind then, where am I? What can I do? How can I improve? And where do I want to go next? So I think clearing your mind and practicing mindfulness in times of difficulties, by when losing a job, during Corona, being on lockdown, losing a loved one, any kinds of crisis, mindfulness is really, really, really good to help you as a person build up strength from inside to encounter the adversity put to you and fight it successfully.
Excellent advice, starting with ourselves first, and that self-care piece, more important than ever. We are going to go to a word from our sponsors. More with Tessy when we come back.
As the nation's doctor, I often get asked, what should I do if I think I might have coronavirus?
People who are sick should stay home. You don't go to an emergency room, you don't go to a clinic. You get on the phone and you ask for advice and instructions from your physician.
We don't want you to go into the ER or the doctor's office without talking to them first because you might spread coronavirus to someone else. Please visit coronavirus.gov for more information.
Thank you for virtual family dinners and long-distance birthday wishes. Thank you for sweet streaming melodies and spontaneous dance parties. Thank you for keeping classrooms together and learning alive. Thank you to our incredible network of employees who make all these beautiful connections possible.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mollie Marti, and welcome back to Resiliency Matters. We are speaking with Tessy Antony. And Tessy, I mentioned your charity, your humanitarian and philanthropic work. Tell us about your foundation, Professors Without Borders.
So my foundation professor, well, charity Professors Without Borders has been created 4 years ago in order to reverse the brain drain and bring quality education to young people all over the world. So we are being invited to different regions to work with government institutions and youth to teach them on skills-based training and resilience and leadership and all kinds of other skills that you don't always get in school. So we complement the school systems. We also teach on law, of course, and economics and so on. But the reason for it is really to kind of like create a triangle of change between government, institutional leaders, and the students and put them together. Because that is often when uprisings happen, such as the Arab Spring, or also in African states when you have elections and the youth really turn up against it. It's because they don't speak with each other. They speak different languages, and we're trying to bridge that gap with Professors Without Borders. So enhancing communication with one another.
Excellent. And I'm going to get to the Zoom o'clock, but I want to talk about, when I describe you to people, one thing that I find myself saying, and I don't even know who has this original quote, I need to look into it, but that quote that you hear about focus on being interested and not interesting, right? Focus on that other person and not on yourself, and then you will be interesting. You do that so beautifully and brilliantly. I've seen you in a lot of different situations. What does that quote mean to you? Or where did you learn that lesson? Do you see that in yourself?
Well, I think, I am here because of a lot of wonderful people. I am because of other people. So I do not see that my achievements and my success and everything I have done is purely because of me. Of course, I have put in the work as well, but there have been wonderful people guiding me, inspiring me, sharing their thoughts, giving me ideas, supporting me in all kinds of ways. And I try to do the same with other people. So for me, I'm kind of like for me, it gives me just a real buzz when I'm able to speak to new people and hear about their passions, see that glow in their eyes when they tell me about themselves. And, because I can see myself in them. I was like that. I am like that. I'm a very curious person, and I do not take no for an answer. And I find it always so beautiful to see that in other people too, in young people specifically, who say, I want to change the world. And I said, okay, how? Like that. And how can I help you? Right? Because people did that to me too. And it's just, by making other people grow, you grow with them. And it gives me such a satisfaction to see then their projects flourish, people's life being changed, happiness and positivity being spread, communities working together, collaborating, and just creating sustainable change for all. And this is my greatest pleasure. And that's why I'm doing that.
Another thing I say about you, and it came out in that answer, you go for the no. And I think your voice can be really helpful to viewers who are, I have that dream, but I can't it's too big, or gosh, I'd like to talk to that person, but what might they think if I ask? Share your thoughts on, you stretch. If you want to talk to someone, you at least knock on the door, you ask for that conversation. Talk about that.
Yeah, 100%. I have never been afraid to talk to a person. Yes, I feel it inside, but in my head, I always tell myself, and I tell that to all of my mentees around the world, what is the worst a person can say? No, or not reply. Fine, I can live with that. But I cannot live with the fact that I didn't take the courage to ask in the first place, because then I don't know. And that is just sad, right? When you never know if it would have worked out or not. That is how I met my ex-husband. That is how Zoom O'Clock came to be as well. I wrote my friends, but I wrote as well strangers. Like, for example, Cherry Blair, the wife of former Prime Minister Tony Blair. I literally just wrote her and said, would you be interested in coming on Zoom O'Clock? I had that with friends I made at university, where I would just consistently go to that one person every day and sit next to him because I really wanted to be his friend. And he thought I was the oddest thing in the world. And yes, sometimes it comes across odd. It's just odd for people from time to time because they're not in use of people to be so courageous. But out of these situations, I have met the most amazing people, have created the most inspiring projects. I have always advocated for that. And now as well, people write me on Instagram. Because of that, I work with Vodafone. Vodafone wrote me on Instagram for the first time. People write me on LinkedIn. I have the most amazing projects because of that, because people writing me on LinkedIn. Today, I put a video on my Instagram for 2 charities which work with domestic abuse. And they contacted me because of my Instagram. And it's just, I really want to advocate that if you don't ask, you will never know, and you're really missing out. Because the worst thing a person can say is no. And you know what? So what? Your life will still go on. You will still be able to breathe and be happy, So just do it. What do you have to lose, right? Nothing. You have only to win, to gain a new friend, gain a new insight, get new ideas, gain a new inspiration, have a new project, change the world with someone else. So just, do it. Do the extra step. Be bold today.
Challenge. Game on. You mentioned Zoom O'Clock. I was going to ask about that. So you have been using your shelter in place time really well. And one of the projects you've created are these 15-minute interviews with people. We're going to put up the link to your YouTube channel and to your website as well, so people can come and listen in. But I so enjoy those, and it is because how you show up and how you interact and how interested you are. And then I watch you get fed by that as well. Talk a little bit more about your experience, whether you want to share a moment that was really impactful with you, or a favorite interview so far, or just that process of why you started it and what you're achieving with it.
So I started because I thought to myself, again, why not? I have amazing friends and I know amazing people. And also there's amazing people outside that I don't know yet. So I just thought, catching up with them, and we're all in the same boat. Why not share their experiences over 15 minutes? Everyone has 15 minutes to listen to a video. So I created Zoom O'Clock because Zoom is free. The first 40 minutes are free. Everyone can do it, recording easily. You don't need to edit videos much. It's just so easy, but it's so insightful and it's a real bite size. Everyone has that time. Each and every one of my Zoom O'Clocks is interesting, I must say. I have learned from each and every one something new because my speakers have opened up so naturally, which was so beautiful. And they were really open and they really wanted to share their lessons and really wanted to share the beauty of what they're doing and how people can get in touch with them, how people can work with them, how people can do the same. And that is what Zoom O'Clock is about, connecting people from one living room to the other.
It's wonderful. And you tell a story about you mentioned you have 2 sons, and their grandfather taught you a lesson that you said only he could really teach in the way that you received it, that lesson about kindness. But can you share that?
I think it's just, I think the late Grand Duke Jean of Luxembourg, who passed away sadly a year ago, he was really one of the greatest leaders in the world. He was in World War II, was the fighting for the liberation of Luxembourg, was ruling the country of Luxembourg with love and kindness and knowledge and resilience. And he was just always the nicest person. I have never seen him say anything bad about anyone. He has always been very welcoming, always a smile on his face, always made you feel like you were the best thing in the world. And I think I have a bit from him. I learned it from him because it just made me feel so special. And I thought I want to spread that as well with other people. So it's just that, kindness is a choice. And that choice only you can take that. So why would you? What is the excuse for not being kind? And yeah, he has been an inspiration to me, and he will always be my biggest inspiration.
And I find that interesting. I interviewed a leading public health epidemiologist the other day, and he, with all of the science and the models and the projections and the world, we're living in with the statistics and vaccines development, all of that, he at the end of the day said it's about kindness. That's the path forward. And what can we do each day to be kind? And I laugh when I've heard you say, sometimes you even say it out loud, like, I really don't feel like being kind right now, but I'm going to choose.
Exactly.
So you are getting a lot done. You get a lot done all the time, but even in lockdown, I would say, especially in lockdown, what are some of your motivators, or how you structure your days to get what you really want to get done, your priorities moved forward?
I think I take one day at a time, to be honest with you, and I'm just open to what is coming next. So I know we're running out of time, so I keep that really short. It's about really, just let yourself be taken by other people's ideas and share your ideas with others as well. And that is how I live. So every day I have new projects that come into my mailbox. Every day I hear about new projects. And that is how I live my life, to try to create the biggest impact while at the same time providing for my family, having fun, and creating new sustainable change for everyone, creating a legacy, really, that I know that I have tried my best. So that is how I live my day, every day. And if you want me to join me, just contact me.
And again, we will put your contact information out, but so much there, even in that short amount of time, being present, being joyful, following your inspiration. So viewers, I hope you have enjoyed this as much as I have. Tessy, thank you so much for your time. And thank you, viewers, for joining us on MediaCom MC22, your local programming leader. Remember that we thrive together. Take good care.